fun. It was really good fun. We went to a theme park that's here in the UK. And I thought for today's video I have put in the community on YouTube, like, what did you want to see? And the most popular one was 27 things I've learned in 27 years. I've seen a few YouTubers do this, and I thought, oh, I wanna share my wisdom too. So I thought I'd give that a go. So I've got everything written down. So if I keep looking to the side like this, it's because I film on my phone and all my bullet points were on there, so I had to write them down. So yeah, we'll just get started. So before I start, I will just say these are things that I believe in them, or my opinion. Some of them are kind of generic that you might be like, okay, I know that already. Some of it's just like little things that I've learned in life. Some of them I've had to learn the hard way. And some of them are just like things that I didn't know until a certain time. But they're all my opinion. You don't have to agree. They're just things that I've come across in my life, in people and situations, that make me learn these things that I've written down, basically. But yeah, anyway, we'll get started. Okay, so the first one is, bring my microphone forward, don't have to lean. The first one is, success has a different meaning for everyone. And so what I mean is that, like, some people think that just getting out of bed in the morning is like a success, is a win on their own, which I agree. And some people think that to be successful you have to have like a big house with loads of money. But then other people think that success is like being able to run a household, having a family, supporting your children, like those sort of things. So that's what I meant by that. I kind of wrote that down because I always think like my friends are successful because they're all like getting married this year, or they're all getting married this year, been engaged, have houses that they've bought and stuff, and I'm not quite there yet, but it doesn't mean that I've not been successful, so that's why I wrote that down. So number 2 is, not everyone will like you, but that's okay. I've spent a lot of my life being a bit of a people pleaser and trying to get everyone to like me, and in the past I'd say maybe the past year, I've stopped caring. Like, if people don't like me, that's fine. God, if my 21-year-old self had this, she'd be like, what? But yeah, people don't like, not everyone likes everyone. I get on with everyone. There's some people, like, I'm sure of me, I'd be like, oh, I'm not a fan, but you just, yeah, you get on with everyone, but it doesn't mean they always like you. If I sniff, I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of hay fever. Okay, the next one I put, perfection doesn't exist. Now I put that because it basically, what I'm trying to say is that you won't get everything perfect every single time. So like when I'm in Taekwondo, the martial art that I do, I'm trying to do everything perfect every time, but you just can't. It's always like, oh, this is how we can make it even better. So I don't always think that perfection exists. Yeah, take that as you will. Okay, so number 4, goes a long way and can show like maturity. Now, I would never really admit when I was wrong before. I have now in like the past few years, but more when you're a teenager or when you're like going into adolescence. I think if I was in the wrong, I used to make out like the other person was in the wrong, but this was more when I was like 18. So like in an argument, I was never in the wrong. But now I can kind of, if like there was like a argument between me and someone, not that I get into arguments by the way, or if someone wasn't happy with me, I would see it from both perspectives and just say sorry. To be like, I didn't realise, I'm sorry. So my next one, I've said love comes in different forms. And so some people, that's what I mean. If I keep explaining it, it's just so I don't want people to get confused. So I mean, like, some people show their love by like buying loads of gifts. Some people show it in like love letters. Some people show it with like my dad and his wife, my stepmom. They always like give each other a hug and a kiss when they see each other after work, because they want to like to stay like, I don't want to say the word intimate because it's kind of weird, but they want to like keep the connection there. So I think, yeah, love comes, like, you can show love. I guess I wrote it down wrong, but you can show love in a lot of different ways. And I guess I always used to think it was only like one way, but different people show it in like certain ways, and that's okay. This one is definite. So actions speak louder than words. This is probably the one that you might think sounds a bit generic. But basically I've had so many like relationships and friendships where they're like, oh, I'll do better, or like you bring something up and like, I promise I won't do that again, and it's like, okay, great, and then they do it again, and then you talk about it again, and then they do it again, and I'm like, no, like, I will, like, if I'm in a relationship, for example, and someone is doing something, and I've talked about it, and they keep doing it, I will say, like, we've spoken about this, and you keep doing it, so what's up? I've not had to do this in my current relationship, by the way. It's more like with exes and stuff. Like, I'd have, what's a good story? I have many where I've been in relationships and they just like, they'll be like, oh, I won't do that again. And I've just thought of one of my exes, he would flat out lie where he had been or like what he was doing. And I knew he would lie, so I would like ask him, and then he would like say a lie, and then he was silly really, because then when spoken about it again, like in conversation, he would change the story, and I'd be like, yeah, what, you said this, so what's the issue? And then we'd get into an argument because he's lied about something. God, I've dated some great people. No, my current boyfriend is so lovely. He doesn't lie. He doesn't lie. Okay, so this is something that my boss actually said. He said the only constant thing is change, and I actually agree, because in like at work, for example, I've been there for nearly a year, and like people have left, or different policies have come in, we've had different management, like things just constantly change. It might be like the same for a while, but then something happened, a situation happens, and then it changes. And then obviously in my younger years when I was like 18 and like in college, like it was like May or whatever, first I wouldn't really stand up for myself. I tolerated a lot of shit. I'm sorry to swear. But I've tolerated a lot of stuff. And I look back and I'm like, why? I wasn't happy with any of that. Why did I bother? Like, why did I tolerate that? And standing up for myself more, definitely this year, because like certain situations have happened where I've needed to stand up for myself, and I have, but it didn't end in an argument. And I have always thought in my head, like, if I stand up for myself, they're going to shout at me and X, Y, and Z will happen, but it didn't. And I've just, as well, if I need to stand up for myself a lot against a person because they're being like particularly nasty, I just don't bother with them, which I've also had to do this year as well. I remember like standing up for yourself in the workplace. Again, I've not really had to do this a lot at current, but in the past I think I should have stood up for myself more. People who bring you down are probably insecure themselves. So this is just one that is my opinion. You don't have to agree, but I've just found that people who have tried to bring me down in the past and have failed, people who have brought me down, I see them like, and like I think they're like, you're not happy, like, yeah, that's it really. It's just like they're probably not happy with their situation, and it doesn't excuse that they're trying to be horrible or trying to bring you down. But if I keep staring into the distance, it's because I've seen like a bit of fluff and it's really bothering me. But yeah, I just think personally they're probably insecure themselves. Like when you're in school and someone's bullying you and they say, oh, they're probably getting bullied themselves, or they're probably insecure themselves. Like, it's like that, except the adult version. Anyway, so the next one, try new things early. So if you want to do something, just go and do it. There were so many things, including this YouTube channel, where I was like, oh, I don't want to, what if, but, what if, and I just say do it, because the confidence that you will get, like, it will be so good. Like, it took me a long time, like my later 20s, so like 25 plus, to like actually be like, actually, I'm gonna try this, and it's always been fine. Like, you try it and you're like, actually, that was really good. But yeah, I say like start doing those things like when you're younger, because then you'll have the experience and then you'll be able to know what you want to do, and like it's always fine. So yeah. Limiting yourself builds mental barriers. That's actually so true, because in my opinion again, but I believe that's so true because there have been times again in my martial arts class where I'm like, oh, I don't think I can kick that high, and the teacher's like, well, you're not going to be able to now because you've just said that you can't. So that's what I mean. This one is so important. Okay, so the next one is, don't let the past control you. I spent my entire life, basically, I think when I got to the age of 23, I basically had a event that happened, very traumatic, developed PTSD, and it just controlled my whole life. It controlled what I did, what I wore, what I would say, who I was friends with. It controlled my entire life, and I wish I could go back to tiny me and it'd be like, don't let it control you, it's not worth it. I know it's a bit different because it's like a traumatic event, but like past, also there could be like past relationships, say like, I know people lost people. One of my friends died a few days before my birthday. That was 7 years ago now. And I still get sad and miss him and think like, oh, he's missing this and he won't be able to see this and things like that. And just grief doesn't have a time limit. And I remember I used to think when I was younger, like, oh, well, they're saying like this person died 20 years ago, but that was so long ago. But it's not always about the fact that they're gone. It's also like, well, it is, but like, it's also what they're missing. Like, people I know have lost parents. I can't imagine the devastation, because it's like they're gone and they're going to miss like X, Y, and Z. So grief, in my opinion, doesn't have a time limit. Yeah. So my next one, I say this all the time. If they want to, they would. I've actually stopped talking to quite a few people because I believe if they wanted to, they would. Like, if my friends, well, no, they're not friends, but like the friends that I used to have, if they wanted to talk to me, they would message me. If they wanted to meet up, they would offer. If they wanted to come and see me in my place, they would. Like, I know people get busy lives and that's like completely fine. My two best friends are planning weddings. They're both getting married in September and they've been a lot less chatty compared to normal because they have a lot to do, and I understand that because life gets busy. But with some other people that I used to be friends with, it was always like when they needed something or when something bad happened in their relationship and they wanted to vent to me, but otherwise nothing. And it was like a pattern as well. But I believe if they really wanted to, they would, and that goes for relationships as well. I spent a lot of my so like between 18 to 22 being like, oh, but like, if he, like, does he like me, like, does she like me? And it's just, if they liked you, they would tell you or they would show you. Okay. Yeah. That's it really. Again, my opinion. Yeah, my opinion. Okay. Find a partner that will help and support you to thrive. So, I was in a bad relationship. My first ever one was a bad relationship. It was not very nice. He would constantly put me down, name calling. He was never violent towards me, but he would get very, I look back at it and thought, oh my god, really? You're an adult. Stop punching holes in the wall. Yeah, please don't take offence to that if you've got angry and punched a wall, by the way. It was like the reasoning why. Anyway, went off on a tangent. So, find a partner that will support you. Like, if you want to do, like, my exes, I would be like, I want to do this, and one of them would be like, you'll never be able to do that. But then the ones after him, they were like, okay. And that was like a whole new world for me. I was like, really, you're not going to make fun of me, you're not going to try and discourage me, really? Yeah. What's the next one? Okay, so spending money is just as important as saving it. So I'm not saying go out and spend all your savings. I mean, I myself was bad for it. Like, I will save money and I will not touch it until I absolutely need to. And then I'll be like, oh, I can't afford to go on like this holiday or do this thing. And it's like, well, you can because you've got savings. I know someone who's saved like skin, and I'm like, well, you've got your savings if you ever want to go on holiday, so like, yes, it's really, really good to be able to save, but make sure that you experience life as well. That's all I'll say. I'm bad for it too though, so yeah. I'm still learning. Stand up for yourself from a young age. As I said, I spent a lot of my life being a doormat, like not just with like friends and relationships, but like certain family members as well. No one like immediate, like my sister, my parents and stuff, they're absolutely fine. But yeah, stand up for yourself from a young age, because then that way you'll be used to it if you need to do it again, like when you're older. And also, I find people who stand up for themselves more don't usually get like, I don't want to say picked on, but they, like, people will leave you alone if you stand up for yourself from a young age. Again, my opinion. I really don't want anyone to take anything I say the wrong way, because these are just my opinions from my experience and my life. Anyway, get into healthy habits while you're young. That's a generic one. So like eating and exercising and stuff. You don't have to be there for everyone. So I had a thing last year where a lot of different people were telling me like all their problems when I was dealing with my own. Like last year, like we weren't like close friends, but someone I was close with in school and who I would speak to regularly as an adult, not so much in like, I think after the pandemic, when things were getting like back to normal again, there were a couple of people that I didn't speak to as much, but I was still like, you still care. They passed away, and I was dealing with that, and then there were people putting, like there was one girl that I was friends with, and she was just unloading all her like emotional stuff onto me, and I am happy to listen to my friends, but you need to like set yourself boundaries as well, being like, look, I'm just dealing with my own stuff right now, and I kind of need to prioritise my own mental health, and it doesn't make you a bad person to, like, I'm not saying like don't be there for your friends, just do it if you feel like you can, and if you can't, just set that barrier and set that boundary and be like, look, I'm dealing with my own things right now, like I'll get back to you, or yeah, like just set a boundary. Don't bring yourself down because others will try. That's more of a, don't be like, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm so ugly, like X, Y, Z. Other people will try and do that to you, so don't do it to yourself. If you say you can't, then other people will think you can't. Don't do it. I had to learn that the hard way. The next one is cleaning in between your teeth is really important. I learned that as a dental nurse, as you all know. It's actually, if you don't clean in between your teeth, that's 40% of the tooth surface, and that's like a fact I hear from the hygiene and dentists like all the time when they tell patients, so yeah, that is true. Mental health comes in many forms, so again, when I was a bit younger, I'd be like, oh, depression is like lying in bed all day, and like anxiety is being anxious all the time. But then after you experience it yourself, there are some people who like, they're depressed but they go out and work every day, and like some people, they will like cry a lot, or like when some people are anxious, they just, like me, if I'm anxious, I will freeze. I don't hyperventilate or anything, I just sit there and freeze, like I will just not say anything. So mental health comes in many different shapes and forms. It's not just this and this, there's like lots of little there's been so many times where I have a gut feeling and I ignore it, and then I wish I didn't ignore it. There's not really much else to say with that. Your happiness is most important, so that kind of links in with like setting yourself boundaries, sticking up for yourself. And I know like some people have like children and families and stuff like that, so like they will take on like your priority, but this is like, again, based on what I've experienced in my life, your happiness is most important. If making your family happy first makes you happy, do that. But if like me, I don't have children or anything, so I'm like I will put like my relationship and stuff first, or I might put like my family first, but your happiness is like the most important, and to make sure you like look after yourself. That's it really. I kind of lost my words when I was trying to talk about that because I heard a car and I was just like, oh, for God's sake. So 2 more. Crying isn't a bad thing. If you need to do it, just do it. I'm not saying cry all day every day. I'm not saying just burst into tears in the middle of work or anything. Just saying if you need to cry, that's okay. Like, I have a few friends that are boys and they're like, oh, I don't want to cry, like, it's weak, like, that's a girl thing to do. And I'm like, it's not. You can cry if you need to. And the final one, don't worry about what other people think. I spent a lot of my time worrying. Sometimes even now I'm like, oh, if I do this then they're going to think this, and if I act like this way they're going to do this, and what if they do this if I say this. And I do it even now sometimes on my channel. I will like say something and I'll be like, oh, are people going to take that the wrong way? Like, I hope not. But like I've kind of realised over time like that it's got a lot less. So I will, like, someone that I don't know why they told me this, they were like, oh, so and so said this about you, and I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, they don't know me, I don't know them, like, whatever. But yeah, that is it, lovely people. That is the 27 things I've learned in 27 years.